Yes, very much so.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So I will call the meeting to order. It is 6:30 p.m. Today is Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. This is our town work session. We'll start with roll call, starting with Ward 1, Commissioner Salsick.
Ward 1, Salsick present.
Ward 2, Henderson present.
Ward 3, Wheatley present. Commissioner Givens, Ward 4, are you present? Don't see Commissioner Givens. He's absent right now.
At large, Brooks present.
All right. So we have at least four of the five commissioners present. So let's see. We do have a quorum. We'll go ahead and get started. Trying to get my laptop working. So first up, has everyone had a chance to review the agenda? Mr. Holtzen, did you say you needed to make some changes to the agenda? You needed to table some of
Yeah,
the budget discussion?
that is correct. The town treasurer unfortunately could not be here. He's under the weather. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have Chief Martini talk a little bit about his budget items that are actually in the packet. I know the commission have been sent the proposed or the draft fiscal year 27 budget. And we are going to present that to the commission and the residents as of next Wednesday on the 11th. So everyone can see it for the first time, and then we will make sure copies are available to the residents and people can weigh in on that. Also, under updates, I'm going to be talking about the memorandum of understanding that has been brought to us from the PGDDA, which is the Prince George's County Gateway Development Authority. And also, I'm going to announce a grant that we just received from the Chesapeake Bay Trust that I think the residents will be very happy to hear. So those are the items I'm adding tonight and changes.
Okay, can you give me numbers?
Well,
What
it'll be
agenda?
number 12 under updates. It's only under updates, so it'll be 12 and 13. 12 will be the memorandum of understanding, and 13 will be the grant announcement from Chesapeake Bay Trust.
12 is the MOU and
Yes.
13 is a grant from
Announcement. Yep.
And you said you're tabling the budget discussion, so you're
Yes, the
tabling number
budget
2?
presentation. Yes, the budget presentation, the draft fiscal year 27 budget presentation. We're going to table that because, like I said, Todd's under the weather. I am going to have, there are items in here that Chief Martini had placed in the packet that I think it's important for Chief Martini to go over with the commission. And I'm going to let him speak a little bit about his budget for the police department, as well as present several of the memos that are that I know he sent out. And I think that'll give you guys an understanding. So, and it'll give him a chance to present items that he thinks are important for the police department moving us forward. Of course, keeping officers once he brings them on board. So, but I'll let him present all that when we get to that point.
Okay, you said memos were sent out, they were sent to the staff?
No, memorandums of understanding. There was memos placed in the packet. You all received your packet on Friday, and they're inter-office memorandums that were put into the packet, and they were sent to the public as well as to the commission. Hopefully you
Okay.
all had a chance to review them before tonight.
Okay, I thought you were saying they were sent out to the staff.
No, these are items that were placed into the packet that's part of this meeting tonight.
Okay. Anything else you need to change on the agenda?
That's all I have.
All right. Any commissioners have any edits or additions they want to change or add?
Givens.
Yes. Oh, Commissioner Givens, welcome.
Yeah, I'd like to add a ballot question. I'll discuss the question to discuss a ballot question for the for the upcoming election.
So you want to make that number 14?
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Anyone else want to add anything to the agenda tonight? Okay, hearing nothing. We will table number 2 and we will discuss 12 is a MOU, 13 is a grant announcement, and number 14 will be a ballot question. And Commissioner Givens will take that one. And Mr. Holtzen will take 12 and 13. All right. Okay. So next are public comments. Anyone wishing to speak under public comments, you just need to raise your hand or put something in the chat. And then we can hear from the public. You have 3 minutes. Any raised hands? I don't see any. I don't see anything in the chat. All right, so we'll move on. Next is a presentation by Megan Bacco from the Anacostia Trails Heritage Area, or ATHA for short. Hi, Megan. How are you?
Good evening. I'm well. Thank you for having me. Oh, and thank you for getting the presentation up. I'm happy to jump right in if that's all right.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you. So my name is Megan Bacco. I'm the Executive Director of Anacostia Trails Heritage Area. And as Chairperson Wheatley mentioned, we're often known as ATHA, our acronym. You can go to the next slide, John. This is potentially a bit of an introduction slash reintroduction to our organization. We've been around for...
Excuse me, Megan.
Yes,
Excuse
yes.
me. We can see you. We don't see the slides. I don't see the slides.
Okay, I can see the slide.
Can anyone else see the slides? I can't see them.
Maybe the view.
Oh, let me change. Let me change.
Yeah.
Yes, I do see the slides.
Okay, good. It's bright
Yeah, I
blue
can
and
see it.
green. You'll know it when you see it.
I don't know why it's just showing me. Why can't I see the slides? Well, go ahead. I'll figure it out. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. So we're a nonprofit, and we serve all of Prince George's County. We have a small office based in Hyattsville. The main focus of our mission as a community-facing organization is to support cultural tourism, and we consider that everything from arts and history to sort of living culture and expressions of culture and music. As well as where all those places intersect. And those tend to be in towns and in parks and during special events. So that's a bit of the gist of the purpose and mission of our organization. You all have always been a part of our organization. The way that we're structured is that we are part of a state program called the Maryland Heritage Areas. There are actually 13 other heritage areas. So if you're traveling elsewhere in the state, it's a good tool and trick to look up the local heritage area, because a lot of times they're telling you about sort of the local restaurants, the local favorites, maybe some art galleries or museums that otherwise don't come up, sort of in larger towns or larger attractions. So the one sort of feather in our hat that we have is that our organization serves all of Prince George's County. Some heritage areas only serve part of their county. So it's just really important to know that we're working regionally and countywide, and we're bringing resources to all of our municipal partners. You can go to the next slide. So here's a map of sort of the ecosystem that we work in. And these are great partners that we have across the state, but our organization serves Prince George's County. You can go to the next slide. One of the concepts that I've been thinking through about being the executive director for about 5 years is, again, thinking about arts, history, culture, and nature. And if those are sort of our four pillars, where do those things mostly happen? And honestly, they happen in our municipalities. You all know that you throw wonderful community events, and those events are so lively and engaging because they really bring together maybe visitors and neighbors together in a meaningful way. So I've been thinking about this term community tourism, whereas some tourism is particularly focused on a destination or a venue. We're really looking to enhance local areas to benefit neighbors as well as attract visitors. And now that could be somebody from the town over, the county over, maybe somebody from a different state. But we're trying to do is make sure we're leveraging any investments we make in terms of tourism to also benefit local residents. Go to the next slide for me. Some examples of projects that we worked on and are continuing to work on are related to public history. Again, you all are no stranger to that. In the port towns, you're very familiar with your local history and sort of the small stories that are still being uncovered. And some of the major things we work on are related to the civil rights movement, women's suffrage, and also, of course, the War of 1812 and the importance on the landscape that continues to have in our region. Go to the next slide. Another main aspect of our work is taking a really close look at trail connectivity. So we have a lot of, friends, families, neighbors, and constituents that ride the trails. And even though our name has Anacostia Trails, we don't manage any of the trails, but we do try to activate them and we try to advocate for them as well. So we're working on some small improvements to trail connectivity. Probably the closest one to you all is over in Dueling Creek in Colmar Manor, but just gives you, again, a sense of one of the main pillars of our work. Go to the next slide. We also support public art, either through partnership or grant making, and that could be murals, sculptures, and placemaking efforts, whether permanent or temporary. You can go to the next slide. My background happens to be in historic preservation, and one aspect of our work that we're trying to increase, and we've had some success with you all in Cottage City, is working on redeveloping historic properties. I call these lowercase h historic properties. They're not going to be the grand sort of residential homes that obviously also have complex history. These are really sort of embedded, often small commercial properties. So as you know, working in our region, especially along Route 1 and other places, we want to see if we can flex this muscle a little bit more and get involved in property redevelopment. So I know that you all have capital projects that you take on, whether it's owned by the town or there are folks that are really interested in the historic properties along your Main Street area. So just wanted to highlight that as something that we do as well. Go to the next slide. And this year, it's a special year, especially if you're a historian like me, or just sort of a person is interested in sort of what's going on in terms of anniversaries. Historians love anniversaries. So this is the semi-quincentennial year, which is 250. Our organization has been bringing together folks from across the county for just about 18 months now to really plan. We tried to get a head start on getting things together. We've had some genealogy workshops. We're planning bike rides and boat tours out of Bladensburg Waterfront Park. And then you can go to the next slide. One of the probably two of the biggest things that we are working on that everyone is invited to participate in is the county is doing a passport to history. Go to all of the county historic sites, get a stamp in your booklet, and you'd be entered to win some travel prizes. And then we are hosting our main event. We're calling it a block party, and that's going to be in Bowie on Saturday, May 30th. It's going to be cultural performances, art activities for all ages. So this is sort of a good example of when an anniversary comes around, our organization is often we sort of serve as the convener of getting different groups together to put something on that's meaningful for the community. So the best way to get involved with that is to go to pgc250.org. We'll also, of course, be sharing that through our main email newsletter through Anacostia Trails. So these are some things we're working on specifically this year, again, because of the anniversary year. You can go to the next slide. This is my second to last slide, so I'm just about to wrap up here. One of the main functions we also serve, in addition to helping host parties, is that we are a liaison to state funds for towns and nonprofits that are included in the heritage area. So there are Heritage Area Authority grants. Those will reopen in winter of 2026. And then we also have our mini grants. We call them rocket grants, and those are up to $5,000. Those are often for great community projects, community events, murals, and things like that. And now those will reopen in fall 2026. So keep those in mind over your next couple town meetings and over the months. If a project you think might be a good fit, just feel free to let me know, and I'm happy to help advise. Next slide, please. Okay, lastly, so one of the main ways that we work together with the municipalities across Prince George's is that we have a committee of municipal representatives on our nonprofit board of directors. This just sort of makes sure that we have, in addition to sort of sharing our main email newsletter, that we have a point of contact or 1 to 2 people and that sort of on a committee on our board. That could be a staff member, it could be a commissioner, it could also be particularly active volunteer. We leave that up to the municipality. So after this meeting, I'm happy to share more information about that. But just in addition to hearing me sort of come to your meetings, once a year, that's sort of how we keep in touch throughout the year. And of course, if you go to the next slide, you've got my contact information. Our offices are in Hyattsville, but we are often out and about, and we love a site visit, and we love seeing people at events and on trails and things like that. So thank you for your time this evening. I'm obviously happy to take questions now, or that's my contact information if sort of ideas come to you later. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Appreciate it. Great presentation. I will go to Commissioner Solsick. Any questions or comments for Megan?
I have no questions, but thank you, Megan. This was a great presentation. I appreciate learning about who you guys are and what you do.
Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, wonderful presentation, Megan. I have no information to add, but maybe I might, contact you sometime in the future at your email address. Wonderful. Thanks for
Thank you.
sharing.
Thank you. Again, great presentation. I am very familiar with APTA, so I don't really have any questions right now, but looking forward to working with you in the future. And I will pass the mic over to Commissioner Gibbons.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Brooks.
No questions, but thank you for your time. It was a great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome to stay if you like.
Oh, no, I will I will allow you to get back to your business. I know it's a bit of an introduction / reintroduction, but we truly value all of our municipal partners, and you all know where to find me, and thank you for all the work that you do, and let me know if and when we can keep working together. I know we've got some projects going, so I'll let you get back to your important work, and take care, everybody. Thank you.
You too. Thank you again. All right. So I know you said you wanted to table number 2. Is this the time you want to give to
Yes.
Chief Martini?
That is correct. This is the time I want to give to Chief. I do want to put a little disclaimer out there to let everyone know, including the residents, that this is early in the budget discussions and that nothing that we are discussing tonight is actually etched in stone. These are early in discussion, and we want to make sure that, Chief Martini's put a lot of thought and effort into putting this together, and I just want to make sure he has a chance to be heard, and to present the plan. So, Chief Martini, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Good evening, everybody. I'd submitted three memorandums to you all through John, and the first one was that I was requesting to increase the base salary for the base officer, for the base police officer by 10%, and I wanted to implement a pay scale for the police department. Um, there's several different reasons why I want to do that. I want to do it as far as, becoming competitive with the other agencies and with the other police departments in the area. I've attached a chart that shows some of the base salaries and some of the what the other officers are making at the ranks of corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, chief, and I tried to go to the middle range. I didn't try to shoot for the moon, but I also didn't want to go to the base bottom. And what I've come to find out is actually, I think some of the numbers that I found are a little bit lighter, that some of the agencies have increased since I've gotten some of their salary ranges. And a big part with creating this pay scale is an atmosphere of transparency. Of the officers can track their career for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, what they could potentially be making. Also to present as a professional law enforcement agency to the other police departments and to the other agencies in the state and in Maryland. As I said, I wanted to increase, and I believe too that unless there's been a cost of living adjustment, I don't know about. The last time that this was done was in 2024, that they increased the police officer salary, and that was the regular police officer would get 54,000. So a 10% increase would be to 59,400. I then went and I plugged this in to a police salary and a salary scale, and how I worked out the scale. And I've attached copies of those to the memorandum. Is that the scales are predictable, that the first years that they increase, it's a 15-step program that increases 3% each year. For the first 10 years, it's one step on your anniversary. And then for the next 20 years, it's biannual. Every 2 years, you increase one step. Like I said, it rewards the people that stay with our police department. It presents a professional law enforcement environment that represents the town of Cottage City and the police department. It increases the predictability of an officer's path. What I've done too then was I've taken the ranks and I've taken between police officer, private, corporal, sergeant, and in the pay scale, I made it so that it would be a 6% increase from officer. Get these out here. It's a 6% increase from police officer to private, a 6% increase from private to corporal, and then from corporal to sergeant, a 10% increase. Again, these numbers, if you notice, quite a few. The pay that I was originally looking at with the officers, there was really no rhyme or reason to it. It's as if whenever somebody was hired, we just came up with a number, and there should be some means that we can plug people into the pay scale, either at the very beginning, or if they're an experienced officer, we offer them, 1, 2, 3 steps on the pay scale as a starting symbol. But it should be something that's coherent, that's something that makes sense. I also attached with it that I showed that it makes sense exactly. With each step is 3%, between ranks is 6%, from corporal to sergeant is 10%. And actually, if you look at it, I attached another chart that I made up that from May 14th, 2024, when I listed the salaries that they were increased to. And then what I did was take the officer, increase that by 10%. Then from there, I worked out the matrix of this salary schedule. And it's actually, if we would have just said, all right, we're going to increase everybody's pay by 10%, we'd be looking at a $33,200 increase. By me actually doing the officer at 10%, yeah, this chart right here, he's actually increased by 10%, but everybody else, by moving up the pay scale 6%, they don't actually increase 10%. So what I'm looking for is $27,122. So that would be, like I said, 2 years ago, we increased by 36,000. to, create this pay scale to make the officers in some sort of a competitive salary range. I'm asking for 27,122 to institute this pay scale. Something else along to go with it, I also submitted this memorandum here, which was for a signing bonus. Now, I know as the town commissioners, when we're throwing around a lot of monies and numbers, your first instincts are probably like, oh my gosh, what's he won? And, obviously, money is the bottom line in a bunch of instances. So I don't want to scare people, but yet I have to talk about what's going on in the marketplace. And a vast majority of places are offering anywhere from, for law enforcement officers, anywhere from $5,000 to upwards of $20,000 as a signing bonus. In fact, even Colmer Manor is offering a $5,000 signing bonus. I actually believe that I'm submitting a good plan here as far as we can entice officers to come here by, waiving a $5,000 bonus in front of them. But we're not we're not pulling a bait and switch. They are going to get $5,000, but we're going to spread it out over 3 years. That way, it's not like you sign an NFL player and he doesn't work out for us, and now we just lost $5,000. We want to sign him that in the first year. We'll add $2,000 to their base salary. That even spreads that, so they're not even getting a check for $2,000. It's going to be incorporated into their salary. So even then, it's spread out over the course of the first year. So at any point, if the officer doesn't work out for us and we have to get rid of them, we don't have a large investment in it. But yet at the same time, if the officer decides to jump ship on us and leave, again, we don't have $5,000 that he's taking and running, that we're spreading it out. It also kind of keeps the officer with us. If this is a good officer, a good troop that we want to keep, he's going to want to continue with us because he wants to stay the full 3 years to get the full benefit of that $5,000 signing bonus. I mean, it definitely discourages job hopping. It definitely ensures the department recovers its training and outfitting costs, because every time you hire a new officer, there's a lot of expenses with it. And and I'm going to bring up another area too that I want to try to do, but everything that I'm talking about is that you're going to pay one way or the other, either with, when it comes to getting a new officer, there's costs in recruiting. You have to do psychological evaluations, medical evaluations, drug screening, polygraphs, voice stress, background investigations. Then they have to go through an extensive training program. Then you have to buy them clothing and vests and firearms and equipment. And if that officer doesn't work out, you lose quite a bit of money. So in the big scheme of pictures, you're going to pay one way or another. And so we're trying to, spend the money in a positive way, but yet at the same time, spend the least amount possible, or so that the town takes the least amount hit. Again, by spreading it out over 3 years, another benefit is there's no one big hit to the budget, one big lump sum budget. Another thing that I've submitted for is for the retention longevity bonuses. Again, I'm talking about doing it's a $500 a year bonus, but basically on your 5-year anniversary, you get $2,500. 10-year anniversary, $5,000. 15-year anniversary, $7,500. 20-year anniversary, $10,000. Again, this what I'm asking for, requesting here. You can look at it like, wow, that's a lot of money. But when was the last time you had an officer stay 15 years with Cottage City or 20 years with Cottage City? So you're kind of, in a sense, voting for money. Like right now, we're looking to hire 3 new officers, so it's going to be 5 years till you even have to pay any of this. And trust me, in a 5-year span, if an officer is a good officer, an officer we want to keep, and he or she stays here 5 years, 2,500, that doesn't even cost just to hire one new officer. So it's a small amount. Some of the numbers might look big, but it's really not. If you had an officer for 10 years and had to pay a longevity bonus of 5,000, this is very enticing. It's a way to keep officers. Also, the way that I've done it with the signing bonus of 5,000 spread out over 3 years. So now we have a good officer. He wants to fulfill the full amount and get that full $5,000. So he stays here 3 years. Well, now you're here 3.5, 4 years. Hey, you have one more year. You're going to hit your 5-year anniversary. You're going to get a $2,500 longevity bonus. So if the officer's not good, not the standard that we want, we have to cut them. We have to fire them and get rid of them. That's what we have to do. But if it's a good troop and we want to keep that officer here, this plan is kind of coming up with a way to get our teeth with him and kind of keep a good officer here 5 years. He's going to be walking away from, money in the signing bonus, money in a longevity bonus if he decides to leave. Hopefully, it kind of helps us with the revolving door challenge that all small departments face. Hopefully, and with bonuses, they don't affect overtime, holiday pay, cash outs, or retirement or anything. The one time bonus is a one time bonus that doesn't affect the overall, it doesn't compound itself by figured into the base salary and other means. And you have to remember too, with trying to keep these officers, as I discussed, with the amount that it's going to cost to train, to recruit, the equipment, the academy tuition, everything that goes with it. You also have to look at the other things too. When you have a turnover, an officer, or sometimes you're going to face costs in unemployment, costs in grievances, lawsuits. You're going to have, in general, just headaches if you don't get the type of officers that you want. Also, too, that there's also other things that you lose when you lose veteran officers. You lose institutional knowledge in two ways. One, the institutional the officer has as a police officer, a trained police officer, what he brings to the table, and two, the institutional knowledge of the community. When this dog is running the street, he knows who it got away from. If there's a complaint, or if there's a domestic at a house, he probably knows what the situation is. So there's two types of institutional knowledge that you lose. Also, the citizens feel safer and they feel more comfortable when they have familiar faces that are policing their community instead of a turnover. So there's several different reasons why I'm coming up with some of these plans and why I'd like to try to do these improvements. But I will say this, that at the end of the day, some of this money that we're talking about, like I said, the 10% increase in the salary scale, overall, it's a cost of a little over $27,000. And I do know that we have a large influx of money that should, based off of what the budget spreadsheet said for the next fiscal year, as far as what money's coming in from the speed cameras and other instances, I believe that, um, this is a reasonable request. If anybody has any questions or they want me to elaborate on any of this.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate your presentation tonight. I'm sure there are some questions, so we'll start with Ward 1, Commissioner Salsick.
I am going to defer right now. I need some time to sort of think about this, so I'm going to get back to you with questions.
Okay. Commissioner Henderson, any
Yes.
questions, comments?
Oh yeah. That's quite a bit of money, and I'm just wondering. For one question is, why not post the vacant positions and see who apply? And actually, because we hired you to, and we depended on you to, look for good officers, the best officers that could fit this. The positions. Also, when I was looking at your figures here, some of them doesn't even gel. You had that you want officers to make a certain amount of money. After I added up all the 5 police positions that you had out there, that only left $67,354 left for the code enforcer. And then you talking about, and also you talking about giving a signing bonus before even the new officer is already, he'll be still on probation. And you talking about getting them a signing bonus. We don't even know who they are. I mean, what kind of qualifications they got if they're still on probation, and you getting them a signer's bonus. And talking about even the salary for the police clerk. I was looking at that, and where is that? Okay. I want to find out what justifies the increase from a temporary agency paying only $22 without any benefits, to the town paying them $25 per hour and benefits. That's 3 hours more. I mean, $3 more. And I was looking at Mount Rainier, and their maximum is $24.91 an hour. It's a lot of stuff here that just doesn't gel, Chief. Doesn't add up. And I like to know where the money is gonna, pop up from. The money that you're talking about is like, I mean, you're talking about counties and what they do in counties, but we're only a small town here. So I just don't see where a lot of this is going to gel. I'd like to, like I said, see a little more information on it. Again, I do not feel Cottage City has the extra money to fund this and do any other small municipalities offer these, what you're asking for. And don't forget, the staff also gets 3% COLA each year, cost of living.
All right. If you're saying that the staff already gets 3% cost of living COLA every year, that's exactly what I had figured into the pay scale for each officer for the 15 steps was a 3% increase.
Point of order. Point of order. That's I don't want you to elaborate on that because that's not actually factual. COLA is determined on a year-to-year basis, and I apologize for interrupting you, but I don't want you to kind of have to go too far along in it. It is adjusted on a year-to-year basis. It's not automatic, and it's not always the same. I yield back.
All right, thank you.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Now, when I'm talking about some of the monies and some of the fixtures, I totally understand this is a small town, it's a small agency, but that's why, in a sense, I was asking for reasonable amounts. Like I said, for the pay scales to establish the current pay scales, the pay scales that I was suggesting, and the pay raises, it's a total of $27,122. That would be the total amount, and that hasn't been and as far as I know, since 2024, when it increased $36,000, it hasn't been increased in 2 years. But yet the cost of living all over the country has gone up greatly over the next 2 years. And I understand paying for what you get there. It's just that there comes a point where we can do the best that we can. And it's going to be one of those things of whether or not, I guess to simply say, do you want to try to win or do you want to try to just compete and get a competition trophy? I didn't shoot for the moon and asked for the highest of the pay scale. I asked for actually a middle to a lower range on the one chart that I submitted because I do understand that this isn't Beverly Hills and it's not a huge agency with the funds. So that's why I tried to keep things relatively in perspective and relatively close. As far as that's why and I understand the signing bonus. We are in an era that I haven't done this. Trust me. When I came on the police department, when I started, there were no signing bonuses. Now there's numbers of 15,000, 20,000, 25,000 floating around. And what I try to do with the $5,000 bonus is, again, it's not a lump sum check that we're just throwing in and hoping that this person is going to work out. That the $5,000 bonus, it's a way to entice, but yet it's spread out over 3 years. And even then, like the first year for $2,000 increase, that's spread out over the whole entire year. So realistically, you're not dropping $5,000. You're not even dropping $2,000. You're dropping a smaller amount per paycheck as the officer grows with the department. So I tried to do some things that would keep the costs down, but yet keep us in the game of compatibility and being competitive and enticing these officers. And at the end of the day, also, you have to remember is that you are going to get what you pay for. And at some point, sometimes, we can do the best we can as far as recruiting, is trying to get the best officers that we can. But then sometimes you have to be cautious because you are going to get what you pay for.
Okay, I would say we need to go have a further discussion and also with Todd. But like my whole thing is, you can put that elephant in the room, but that don't mean you won't get that much work out of that elephant. So, I mean, just because you pay someone a big salary doesn't mean that that someone is going to give you a better production all the time. I yield back. That's enough out of me.
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson. Mr. Holson, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I wanted to point out that the $39 for the clerk is that's the staffing company. And also the code, we're thinking about doing a seasonal code officer. So that'll be a seasonal code officer only during the summer months, spring, summer.
Noted. Mr. Henderson, have you yielded the floor?
Yes.
Okay, so it's my turn. So I have questions too. I'm going to start with the Cottage City Police Pay Scale on page 35. I've never seen a pay scale go to step 15. And maybe that's how they do it in police departments. I'm not familiar. I know in my career, the highest step I've ever seen is a 10. I noticed on page 33, there's another pay scale that only goes to step 10. I'm not sure, what is that pay scale for? Are there two separate pay scales?
Yes. The pay scale on page 10, or no, page 33, is actually it's not etched in stone. This is only for general government. It would be for general government, public works. The pay scale that's the other pay scale is the one that for the police. So
Okay.
33 is for the other departments, and the one that Chief Martini's put together on 35 is for the police.
Okay, can you please distinguish, put a title so we can know which pay
Sure,
scales we're
definitely. We
looking
definitely
at?
will do that.
So I'm going to go back to the pay scale for the police department. I noticed, Chief, that you also have your position listed.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm a little confused there. As the chief, you're already under a salary, your salary versus, hourly rate. So are you saying that even though your salary, you would still get a step increase along with the officers? In addition to your regular salary? I'm a little confused on that one. And then I have to agree with Commissioner Henderson. I'm not sure how we can sustain this pay scale that you're recommending to us tonight. I just don't see how we can afford to pay these numbers. And I understand you're saying that it wouldn't be paid all out at the front, that it'll be over a period of time during their pay periods. Every 2 weeks they would get I guess a little extra money in regards to the bonus and the $2,000 and all of that. But I just can't imagine how we can sustain these numbers. I just don't know where the money is going to come from. Um, Maybe you could talk a little bit more about that, because our budget is very limited, and the police department is already half of the town's budget. A lot of funds go into the police department. So I'm just trying to figure out, how are we going to keep these numbers? How are we going to maintain it? I don't see how we can sustain it. Can you address that?
Well, I think that looking over, like I said, the pay scale that I came up with, that the raise to the base officer by 10% from 54,000 to 59,400, that 10% raise. Then I figured off the other pay steps that they would go up between officers, between the various ranks, was 6%, and then from corporal to sergeant 10%. Then each step is 3%. So for overall, from where we are today to, if we were to have all five officers and all five officers making step one on the pay scale, that would be a $27,000 increase overall. That's a $27,000 increase. From 2024, you increased up to 36,000 from where the officer's pay was. You did a $36,000 increase. This is a $27,000 increase. And again, like I said, as far as matching with the economy and with the cost of living. as far as keeping with the increases. Now, as far as the various steps going from step one, step two, step three, that's a 3% increase on their anniversary, which would be 3% each year. And it seems like, you know, every year cost of living increases go probably anywhere from 2.5 to an average of 3 or 4% to higher every year. This is just basically laying it out instead of every year you have to vote on it, or every year we're throwing something up against the wall and saying like, okay, what are we going to do for this? It's just laid out. In fact, you could actually more long-term plan with this, because you could look at the pay scale, you could figure into budgets for long term, because you know exactly what 3% every year is going to be. And again, with some of the funding, I do know, from the looking from the account and seeing the numbers, that again, it seems like that we are they're predicting bringing in monies from the speed cameras and the stop sign cameras, bringing in funds of approximately 750,000 and at a cost at about 250,000. I mean, it's looking like there's supposed to be an excess of approximately 500,000 just brought in from the speed cameras alone, let alone other income that's coming in as far as taxes and other means.
Okay, so I have a question in regards to these steps. So it goes from step one all the way to step 15. And like I was saying, in my job, the steps go from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. And that's in the federal government. Like I said, I don't know if the police department is different, but I've never seen a step 15 before. This is new to me. And I know in my job, your first, I'd say step one through step four is an automatic step. Long as you're fully successful in your position, every year you would automatically get your step unless there's a justification not to. But when you get to step five, those and any steps beyond that, it's not automatic. It's not every year. It's every 3 years. So before you could go to step six, you would have to wait 3 years. Before you could go to step seven, you would have to wait 3 more years. So it's not automatic when you get to the higher steps. It's a little bit longer wait period. I'm assuming your steps are automatic every year. Is that correct?
Yes, for the first 10 years that they would be automatic. Then for the next 10 years, it'd be biannual, every 2 years that they would go up. That's why it's based off 15 years. And yes, there's a lot of agencies that their pay scales are based off 20 years, 15 steps, 20, 15 steps, 20 steps, some even 25 steps, because they have a 25-year retirement system. So it's kind of whatever is negotiated between the agency and the government that's employing them, as far as what they work out, how the steps are going to work and how that they're going to jump.
Okay. So that's something we would have to discuss.
Yes, I mean,
Um,
it's just like anything. There's a dozen ways that you could manipulate a salary schedule. This is, uh, to be frank, is kind of a pretty standard one that I utilize, that a lot of agencies will use with the steps.
okay. And then my other question in regards to the position for the chief, that also would automatically get steps in addition to their salary? Or
Um,
was that a mistake?
no, I had it in there again as far as planning, just being able to plan for the future, being able to look at what budgets are going to be moving forward.
Okay. Based on the salary that you're currently using, the 96,000, is that correct?
Right. And on the one chart that I came up with, that I moved up, I took the base officer salary of 54,000 and did a 10%, which brought it up to 59,400. Then from there, I did 6% between ranks, 6% and 10%. And if you see on the one, it shows the officer did a 10% jump. The PFC only did an 8.5% jump. The corporal did a 7.6% jump. Like I said, if you just came out and said, oh, you know what? we've been behind. We're not competitive with other agencies. Let's do a 10% pay raise for everybody. You're looking at like $33,200. But because I manipulated the schedule, I'm only asking for an increase of 27,122. I know the numbers are I, listen, I'm on the same team as you guys as the town council. You know, I'm your arm of I'm the police arm of the government, and I'm on your team, and I understand a lot of it, and I will do whatever is required and requested of me. I am just trying to say that at some point there is a certain price to doing business. Now, whatever you guys vote on or put into place, that's what I have to deal with as the chief of police. But if we want to start the Cottage City airline, an average commercial airliner costs about $200 million. So if we want to start the airline, we got to spend $200 million on a commercial aircraft. And it's kind of like with dealing with the police. I'm trying, my best, of course, to get everything I can for the department and from you guys and trying to be fair about it. But I'm just saying that I'll do whatever's brought to me, whatsoever given to me, but there is a price for doing business.
Okay, so one more question, then I'll pass it on to the next commissioner. The salary for the chief is at 96,600, is that correct?
Yes.
Is that the current salary or is
No,
that?
it's
No.
92,000. And like I said, that was a 5% increase versus the other ones that are 10%, 8.5, 7.6, 11.2. That was just a 5% to remain in some sort of alignment with the rest of the pay scale and competitive with others.
Okay, so you're saying the chief position currently is at 92,000 currently?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Um, you answered my questions. I probably will have more, but thank you. I appreciate you being honest about it. Commissioner Givens, any questions or comments?
Yes, thank you for your presentation, Chief Martini. Unfortunately, you haven't been here over the years to understand that we've kind of addressed the whole pay scale. I mean, I'm shocked no one's mentioned it already, in which we've looked at a graduated pay scale with the steps included, with the and understanding all the dynamics involved. At the end of the day, what the commission ultimately decided is that a graduated pay scale was unaffordable in regards to our financial situation. What I know, what others may not have considered or looked at over the years, what people continue to focus on is the amount of funding that we have in the bank. And they also look at the speed camera and the red light camera revenues. But what happens is we tend to put ourselves and understandably, sometimes we have to do what we have to do in those positions in which we kind of become dependent on that. And what's happened over probably started about 3 years ago. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but we lost our red light camera because we switched companies, and we lost it for 2 years. 2 years. And so the town didn't go bankrupt, it didn't go under. And you know why? It's because we weren't fully staffed. And so when you look at the overall financial situation and we look at all of this and in being because ultimately when you do budgets, you have to do them based on the worst case scenario, i.e., not necessarily worse, but the fully staffed, what's the name? Fully staffed department. And all of that costs money. Now, I said all of that to say I actually agree with you on much of, not all, but much of what you propose. I think it's reasonable. However, I also know our town. And what I know is what other commissioners may not have come to the realization of as of yet is there's going to come a time because of the natural cycle of inflation and cost that the town won't be able to afford a police department. And they're going to have to join, and no one wants to talk about it or admit it or anything like that. They're going to have to join forces with possibly Comar Manor. We've tried that before. But instead of joining forces, we'll probably just have to contract out to the services. And that's something probably more that we'll be able to afford. That's not where we're at now. And I'm not anticipating us doing that. So what we have to be able to try to consider now is what is it that we can't afford? I would say your requests are not unnecessarily unreasonable. Outside of, I just know that we can't afford a pay scale, a graduated pay scale as it's outlined, as you've shown. We've typically gone and looked at what we can afford on a year-to-year basis because our financial situations change. And 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 like I said, our only saving grace is that lately we have not been fully staffed. So we do have somewhat of a surplus, and that those red light cameras just got turned back on, and we're staffed uh, poorly right now. So I would say if you did everything that you proposed, and you looked at the total financial budget, because what what's being stated is about the red light camera, speed camera. But what's not being stated is that we for the longest time before we had all of that, we funded that through our regular taxes and so on and so forth. But we start to try to move those monies around so that we move those into the police department as and use the other funds in the other departments as we should. I think what's going to probably have to happen if the commission ultimately makes some types of considerations, well, I think that you're probably going to have to make some considerations as to the staffing level and possibly bringing it down. I mean, I'm an advocate for having more police, so long as we can afford them. But when we can't afford them based on the high cost, then we're going to have to look at making cuts somewhere. And that may be, and to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you straight like this, and I'm honest. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. You got a tough job. Those things that you've asked for in regards to signing bonuses, I know what it is. I see it, and it's tough. Maryland is no longer recycling these old raggedy officers as they've done before. They're dropping people's certification. You're not being able to get them back. You face challenges up against the DC Police Department, who offers a $25,000 bonus, and they start at 74,000, as well as Prince George's County and Arundel and so on and so forth, the bigger departments. And ultimately, the reason why these people typically are here is because for whatever reason, they've chosen not to, or they haven't been able to qualify for those towns. So we have to be considered competitive, not so necessarily with Prince George's or the DC, but necessarily with our surrounding smaller agencies, and and give them, some type of competitive salary in conjunction with that. I think you're challenged in that the challenge is tough because you got a lot of agencies in DC, and everybody's suffering because everybody's looking, they're at that point of that 25-year retirement. And so everybody's throwing out a bunch of money, and the town just doesn't have it when you look at the overall associated cost to run our town. Yeah, so I said that, and I'm not sure ultimately where the commission will ultimately make those decisions, but I think that that's something the commission will probably have to, if you're going to make certain accommodations, then you're probably going to have to lower the staff in order to make those concessions to be able to conceivably afford what's um, what's being asked of you. So I like how you laid it out. I think you're very creative in that. And I see what you're saying. It does cost a lot to hire people, and he's right, And we do require that our officers sign a two year retention contract, and if they leave prior to that, then they owe the town back. They have to pay the town back a certain amount of money for every year for those 2 years or whatever. But again, that's something we'll have to probably think about, a little bit further, and then come up with some type of plan to move forward. So, with that said, thank you for your presentation, and I'll yield back.
Am I? Can I say something else?
Sure.
Yeah, and you're right about DC signing bonus. Washington DC also gives the officers $25,000 towards purchasing a house if they reside in Washington DC as part of their plan. They'll give an officer $25,000 if they towards a house in DC. So it's like, yeah, it's very competitive out there. I just really, two things I just like to bring up quickly is this, is to really think about it. What happens sometimes is this, and again, I'm good at examples. My nephews used to drive me crazy because they kept buying these junkers for $1,000 and they kept putting money into it. Before you know it, they have $10,000 in this junker, and you know what they still have? They still had a junker. Like I'm like, why don't you just get $10,000 and buy yourself a nice used car? So I don't I'm employing you all just to really think that there is a huge cost as far as hiring an officer, psychological exams, medical screening, drug screening, polygraph, voice stress, backgrounds, academy, putting them through an academy, put them through FTO training, the salaries while this is taking place, the equipment, some of which we don't get back that equipment. So it's sometimes there's I'm just saying, just to consider, just be cautious that over the years, how many officers, before I got here, how many officers or a revolving door, how many have you guys gone through in the last 5, 10, 20 years versus if you could keep somebody longer? I mean, it's a big expense. I try to, what I'm trying to say is you're going to pay one way or another. And I know that also too, when you have an officer, sometimes you have to pay unemployment. You have to pay attorneys for grievances and lawsuits. And like I said, just dealing with everyday headaches comes with an expense. The other thing I wanted to say too is that I understand, and we talk about the police department and that is that you're getting more than just police officers with the officers. That if you and someday if the police department's gone from Cottage City, or if you have to scale back, then the police department's gone. But people want their own police department. They want to have the own security of people that they can, call up the street or walk up the street. And they want they want the familiar faces. They want people that are familiar with their community, familiar with their problems and that. But also, too, we're more than just police officers. We're the only town employees that you have. That we're the ones that right now we're planning for the Easter extravaganza. We've already talked about Halloween events and Christmas events and Fourth of July events. And last Friday I'm filling up food bags for the food distribution. With hey, I love all that stuff and I love being involved in the community. But you got to remember too that you're not, in a sense, you're not just paying for police officers. You're paying for your only town employees. And in a lot of ways, the police officers, we wear a lot of different hats, especially in this small town. So just keep a couple of those things in mind is all I ask.
Thank you. Commissioner Brooks?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just super, super important to understand. I think I was looking at it's hard to see, but the starting salaries for each town. And some of the towns, I mean, they're double the size of us. And I feel like in talking to a lot of police officers that we have had, and some of them who've stayed for quite a while, it really wasn't all of that. It was actually they enjoyed being a police officer, in a town this size. And in the small town, I think a lot of what you said in your interviews, they liked getting to know all the residents. So there was a lot more to sell than just the salaries. And I understand. I mean, we all go to work for money. But I think there is a lot more to it. We are a very small town, what, 1,300 residents. But residents have been concerned, and since 2021, I think is when it took a big sharp turn, where the police budget just grew and grew and grew and grew. And I think 2022, it did another big sharp turn up. Um, and a lot of residents are looking for that to really stabilize. And it is always going to go up. There's COLA raises, there's all these other things. And I hear you with the bonuses, and I'm not anti that, but I think one thing I want to see from the administration as a whole at a Cottage City is if you're going to put one thing in the budget, tell us what you're going to take out of the budget. I mean, we're kind of maxing out here. I think last year we agreed to increase the business taxes to make them more comparable to other towns, but we're running out of ideas here. And, we don't have the thriving business district. We don't have, condos coming up with more residents. And it's going to hit a point of what do we do? Do we tax residents? I mean, that's not something I stand for, but we're running out of ideas to generate more money, and I'm all for spending the red light camera. Commissioner Givens talked about it. It's been hit or miss. It's on, it's off. It's here, it's there, it's everywhere. but tell us how you're going to spend the money. Just like telling us, if you're going to put something into budget, what's coming out of the budget? We don't have room to keep increasing the overall budget. And if we're going to put more into the police department's budget, where else are we going to take it? It's got to come out of somebody else's budget. And I think it's a valid point that Commissioner Givens makes. I advocated, I think it's a good idea to maybe reduce one officer and just to have maybe some contracted services in the evening time. It's one thing we've seen over the years, a reduction. It used to be 12 or 2 a.m. that officers would stay on, and that got reduced down to eventually like 5 p.m. I think to kind of cut costs, maybe that's a good idea, but I would like to see some other ideas, and it doesn't have to be reducing the staff, but I think that's a valid option. We're not the county, running 130, $170 million deficit. We're not the state running huge deficit right now. We can't run that kind of deficit, and I think we really need to get some ideas on how to fix the budget issue. And I don't know. I appreciate all these ideas, but I do think we need to come up with some other ideas to lower or maintain the cost and, well, getting the services that we've had. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, commissioners, for your comments and very interesting discussion. I agree with quite a bit of what was said tonight from the commissioners. Let's see. What's next? Ordinance 2026-02.
Oh, hold on. We got to switch the screen. Turn those around. So we won't belabor the point tonight. We've talked about the pay scales and all. This is only going to be an introduction. I mean, we're not really going to, I want to hear, but I think we've heard tonight about the pay scales because ultimately setting pay scales is very helpful to give employees a future. It kind of lets them know what their future is within the organization, where their money is, and where their future lies. And so that's what this ordinance would, in essence, do is it would help us to amend of course, our employee handbook, but also set, some parameters about how we go ahead at every budget season and we provide the compensation. We do those various things, but we've already discussed it tonight. We've heard everyone's reaction regarding the pay scales, and Chief Martini and I will be going back and taking a look at other options and other things. So, and like I said, nothing's etched in stone tonight, but these are preliminary discussions that I think need to be had.
So you don't want to talk about that ordinance? You want to go to the next one?
Yeah, we can go to the next one. That's fine. We'll go through.
Resolution 2026-03.
Yes. So resolution, let me read it into the record. Mr. O'Connor is going to be joining shortly, but I can go through it a little bit with you all. He's on right now. Town of Cottage City Resolution 2026-03, a resolution of the Commission of the Town of Cottage City adopting a language access plan to ensure meaningful access to town programs, services, and activities for individuals with limited English proficiency. This resolution is being put forward tonight as part of the USDA grant where you all obtained a police vehicle. And in order for the town to obtain the $62,000 in reimbursement, we have to adopt a language access plan. And Mr. O'Connor, I see you're on, and you can talk about this resolution. That would be great.
Yes, absolutely. And good evening. Glad to see I'll be here again virtually this time. And pleasure seeing you all last time. So this resolution is pretty straightforward. We've been working diligently to recover just about $62,000 from the USDA related to the purchase of a police vehicle. One of the requirements through this process that's dictated by the USDA, as Mr. Hodson just laid out, is that a language plan is adopted. The USDA gives that language plan, and It is part of should be one of the exhibits that is attached or was provided. And basically, we just go ahead and adopt this resolution. Once you would approve this resolution, we'll send that to the USDA, and it'll complete one more step towards us recovering that $62,000.
Thank you. Any discussion, Commissioner Salsett?
No discussion from me.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes, I'm trying to find out, do we have a plan? Or is it saying we already got a plan in place?
Oh, so what you would be doing is you are actually adopting the USDA's language proficiency plan or supplemental language plan, and that base you already do this actually as a town. It's just now you're accepting the USDA's plan that it meets a grant requirement. So you already translate into Spanish, I believe your newsletter and almost everything else that you do. So you're already above and beyond that. This is just formalizing it under the USDA parameters per their grant terms.
Okay, I understand. I yield back.
I have no questions or comments. Commissioner Givens?
No, thank you for that, Mr. Henderson, because that gave me some clarification. Thank you.
Commissioner Brooks?
No comments or questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 5, Resolution 2026-04.
All
This
right.
is the urban tree.
Yes, so I will read it into the record, and then Mr. O'Connor is going to take this one as well. The Town of Cottage City Resolution 2026-04, whereas the Town of Cottage, oh wait, that is the, I'll change, oh here. Yeah, here it is, sorry. A resolution to approve and grant permission to the Prince George's County Department of the Environment and its authorized agents or assigns to allow access and entry to municipal properties and right-of-way within the town of Cottage City in order to design, survey, locate utilities, test soil, locate and plant trees, and perform other duties in connection with the installation and establishment of a variety of native trees and plants. Mr. O'Connor?
Yes, again, thank you. So this is really an amazing program through the Department of the Environment and the Maryland Department of Environment. And what it does, this resolution's purpose is step one in a very inclusive and long process. I would say long. It takes about a full season for everything, planting season to planting season to get everything done. But what this is a tree program, and it's about tree canopy. It's about environmental justice. It's about lowering temperatures in urban environments at no cost to the town of Cottage City. The burden of the cost, the labor, and every single facet of this is upon the Department of the Environment in Prince George's County. What we're looking for now is an approval of resolution so they can go in and actually go into the municipal right-of-ways. This is not done on county roads or state roads. This is your municipal roadways. And they'll go in and they'll do a study. They'll come out with GIS mapping devices, and they will find all the places that trees can be installed into the jurisdiction and the appropriate native trees. They will also catalog all the trees in the jurisdiction and tell you which ones are invasive and should be removed and help facilitate that removal. They'll then provide plans, very detailed plans for you to review. And in the end of everything, once the entire program is done, they give you an app to locate all of the trees. And then somewhere in between there's public hearings, there's facilitation of educational workshops for the residents. And they also plant and maintain the trees for 3 years to get them off the ground and warranty them as well. So this has been successful in multiple jurisdictions. Fairmont Heights has done it. Forest Heights did a total of 1,900 trees in their jurisdiction, by far the largest they've done. Capitol Heights is now in the process of their survey where they go out and they actually look for where the trees are going to go. And they're in their initial stages now. But there's been several other jurisdictions that have been successful. Ultimately, what this resolution is looking for is stage one, for permission for the Department of Environment to come on out and start the very basic process and keep myself, Mr. Hodson, and of course the commission and residents informed along the way. And I should add the value of this program. If you were to attach a value to it, is anywhere from $600 to $900,000 of grant funding that the town won't actually take possession of the funding, but the investment from the Maryland Department of the Environment and Prince George's County, all in all, will be equal to somewhere in that sum. And I yield.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Salsic, any discussion?
The only question, this would be for town, like public areas, not people's private property, correct? Or you said that they might also do education for individuals?
Yes, there's educational workshops along the way of what the trees are and the stormwater management. For instance, they'll come out and say, hey, for every one tree that you plant, it removes 50 gallons of stormwater during a rain event and helps with flooding. And they'll even teach people about the various different trees and along the way and the impacts on the environment, lowering temperatures. It's a very resilient project. Now, and to answer your other question, the trees are not planted on people's private property. They're in the right-of-ways of the town. So if the town owns the right-of-way, there's public areas, and then there's the right-of-ways that the town controls. So usually if you're looking at a sidewalk, it's on the left-hand side of the sidewalk in those particular areas. But the GIS system is used to establish what the right-of-way is on the municipal roads, and then they would plant within the town's portion of that land.
Okay, thank you. That's all for me. Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I was just wondering, do you have a website or something we could visit and see some of the success in the project?
Yeah, I can get something from the Department of Environment. If not a website link, I most certainly can get some more information from them and get that to Mr. Hodson for distribution.
Thank you. How you bet.
Thank you. I support the resolution. I have no questions or comments. Commissioner Givens?
I have no questions or comments.
Commissioner Brooks?
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Let's see, what's next? Resolution 2026-05. That's the town health insurance?
Yes. So I'm going to read it and then we will discuss. It's a resolution 2026-05, a resolution to approve a town health and life insurance policy for employees of the town of Cottage City. I know we already have employee benefits in place. And at our weekly meeting with Todd, he had recommended me go ahead and set up this resolution for the town to make sure that if you look at down below number 2, the town of Cottage City will pay up to the first $1,000 for eligible employees enrolled in the town approved health and life insurance plan. Currently looking at the records going back, there's never been a deduction for the town's health and life insurance. And so Todd's thought is that we would put a policy in place that would, of course, be put into the employee handbook that states the town will pay up to the first $1,000 for eligible employees enrolled in the town an approved health and life insurance plan. So that is the resolution, and we bring it forth tonight.
Thank you. Commissioner Salsic, any discussion?
I'm sorry, are you saying that this is in addition to the benefits that we already have?
No,
saying that
the town already provides health and life insurance for each employee.
Mhm.
But there is no deduction. The town covers it right now 100% from what I've seen looking at the records. I went back through paychecks and I haven't seen deductions for the insurance. But now Todd is thinking that it would be good for the town to put the policy in place that the town will pay up to the first $1,000 of the
That
benefits. At anything above $1,000, the employee would be responsible for.
okay. Okay, thank you. That's all for me. I yelled.
Okay, Commissioner Henderson, any discussion?
I don't really have a discussion, but I'd like to see the policy itself, have a review of it. I yield back.
Mr. Holson, can you provide that or
Sure, I can
Tom?
get Mr. Baum to give you all we can actually have him present what we provide to the employees. I think that might be a good idea. So we could definitely do that.
Okay. No discussion for me. Commissioner Givens?
I want to thank you for actually, to be honest with you, like all of this stuff has been approved, but we as commissioners, we assume all of this stuff is being written down as it should, and apparently it hasn't been, because I've been on since, and I know over the years we've increased that from 600 to 800 to $1,000. So I appreciate the fact that you've taken the lead and you're going to get this down in writing and get this into our employee handbook. So there's no discussion or half the commissioners having to remember or that commissioner's not here anymore and such and such. So we do need that for written justification though. But what I would say is uh the life insurance, it was $1,000 for the health insurance, and the life insurance was whatever the rate was, and it
Okay.
wasn't like included in the health insurance. So I would say that that's how it's been set up. And the only other thing that I would have a question as to, because I wasn't an advocate for it, but this is what the commission voted for, is that group thing where they pool all this stuff into one what's the name, and that's what's happened in the past. And but of course, meaning that if your department has 7 officers, like 7 people, like the police department, and only 3 people use the insurance because the other 4 people, they're on their wife's insurance or whatever, and their healthcare insurance for their whole family might be $1,400. Well, all of that's covered because they're taking that $1,000 that was allotted to the other 4 people and they're utilizing that. And the unfair thing about it is the police department has the biggest what's the name to draw from, and the other ones do not, right? And so and so are we changing that back to $1,000 and now people healthcare, because really we started by just covering the person, and then it kind of moved into fully for the person, then it kind of moved into this whole group thing, which would include their families per se. So what are we doing? Are we moving the program to $1,000 cap, and then they're paying the what's the name because of our associated costs over the years, and because everything's getting more expensive, and that healthcare is one of the biggest ones that we've had. And based on um, just based on our numbers, I think at one time we had 13 people in the town. It was like $13,000 a month. And when you do that over 12 months, I know 12 times 12 is 144,000. So, whenever you do that 13 times 12, it's a little bit more, probably 150,000. So we're spending that automatically off the bat, regardless, and so the town didn't have the ability to take it, they had to just wind up paying all of that. So I yield back and want to kind of get some clarification on that. Hope I'm explaining myself good. Thank you.
Mr. Holson, can you answer Commissioner Givens' question?
Yeah, I will. Like I said, we're trying to put a cap on it. I will double check the life insurance part of it. with Todd. All I know is during our weekly meeting that I have with Todd, this is what came out of it, and this was the cap he thought was best to put on it. But I will, once again, I will confer with Mr. Frankenfield, and we'll see, and we'll come back and bring you a cleaner resolution, and I'll answer your questions at that time.
Are you okay with that, Commissioner Givens?
Yeah, but that's again, that will have to be something that the commission would have to re-vote on because they voted in its current situation now. I agree with Todd because we do have to start looking at ways and being fair. Even when I was on a police department, I had to pay healthcare insurance too. Police department paid a lot of it, but I had responsibility for some of it as well. I'm not asking for the individual, but when people have these family plans, everything's going up, and I know they're well over, that $1,000 cap. So I yield back. Thank you.
I just want to say that, yes, you might have voted on this, but nothing was put in place. And so what we're trying to do now is we're trying to put things in place and make sure that we have legislation on the books so that we can actually put this in the handbook. And now we have a tracking system of the legislation. I don't know where the legislation is of what you previously voted for, but we have to put these structures and parameters in place because, of course, now that we're doing the budget and because we're updating our handbook, we want to get these parameters up and we want to get things in order the way it should have been.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm not disagreeing with you or arguing your point. All I'm saying is, like I told you before, I appreciate the fact that you're now doing this because previous administrations should have done this work because we did vote on it. And all I'm saying is, at this juncture, if in the event that the commission opts to take on this new, what's the name, they will have to vote that in because currently, regardless, um, when if it was voted on and somewhere in the minutes and someone could go back and unfortunately find it. And all I'm just saying is we need to vote on it to ratify it. That's all. Whatever the new changes are and get in writing, we just need to make sure that we do that and ratify it and have it. And I agree, have it in the employee handbook so that everyone knows it's not a secret and so on and so forth. So thank you for your work. You're back.
Thanks. Commissioner Givens is correct. We did vote on it. I'll try to see if I can remember what year that was, so you can check the minutes. But he's right. We did vote on it and it should be in the minutes. If it's not, I'm not sure why, but we definitely did vote on this.
No, but he's right. We should be putting this stuff in the handbook, and it doesn't negate the fact that it was in the minutes because that's a matter of a recorded law that would have to be researched if something were to come up. But whether moving forward, whatever we ultimately decide to do, whether we stay the same or whether we go to the new plan, all of that should be ratified with a new vote and placed in the handbook. I yield back. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Brooks.
I'm fine with the procedures. I support it. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Holson, is your hand up or is that from before?
Oh, that was before. I'm sorry.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Resolution 2026-06, amend the town holiday schedule.
All right. So we have Resolution 2026-06, a resolution of the Town of Cottage City Commission of the Town of Cottage City to amend the official town holiday schedule to include President's Day, Native American Day, and Veterans Day, and to update holiday observances to support employee morale and retention. So, as you know, we're trying to put new things in place. We're trying to update our employee handbook. And I'm thinking it is now time to hopefully you feel the same way, is that our holiday schedule will become more aligned with other municipalities as well as the county by adding President's Day, Native American Day, and Veterans Day to the holidays. We, of course, feel it would, of course, honor the service and contribution of veterans and Native American communities, recognize national leadership and civic history, promote inclusivity and cultural awareness, but also improve employee morale and strengthen workforce retention. So I have this resolution for you tonight and open for discussion.
Thank you, Commissioner Salsick. Any discussion?
I have no questions. I am in support of this.
Okay, Commissioner Henderson, any discussion?
I'm in support of it, but I don't want to feel a little bit I mean, I really wanted to know what day is celebrated. I mean, what day do you choose that was chosen for Native American Day? What date was that? What date on the calendar?
It's Columbus
That
Uh,
Day.
would be October, it would be
Columbus
Columbus
Day?
Day.
Okay, thank you. I yield back.
All right, I have no discussion either. Commissioner Givens,
No discussion.
Commissioner Brooks.
I would just actually add it is a good tool for, retention when we're talking about all these financial gains. I would actually support it, and I'd also recommend adding Christmas Eve to give everyone, 2 days to get around for the holidays. So I'm sure I'm in the minority with that, but I would highly recommend that and support it. Thank you.
All right, let's move on. RFP 2026-01. This is for the architect for the old firehouse.
All right, so let's talk about the firehouse. So, as you know, we discovered that our previous architect had some issues with licensing. And so we have now found ourselves in a situation where we have to get the old firehouse project sort of back on track. And so tonight I come before you with three scenarios that we can look at with hopefully getting us ourselves back on track when it comes to the firehouse. Interesting enough, I was contacted by Mr. Green last week. Mr. Green from the Sultan Campbell and Britt, which was the architect that was unlicensed, has now seemed to have gotten himself sort of everything in order, and he is now the lead chairman of the board, chief executive officer at Sultan Campbell and Britt, and he has now become fully licensed and in compliance with the state. And so we have that. So I had spoken to the town attorney and had asked him about having Mr. Green continue on. And of course, Kevin's recommendation was you need to sever your losses and move forward. And so that is one scenario that we're looking at. Number two is I did meet today with Charles P. Johnson and Associates, which was, of course, our engineering firm. For the 43rd Avenue project. And they can come in and assist us, but I want to give you sort of a timeline as to what we're looking at. So, hearing from them this morning, they're talking this could take us for 15 to 17 months to complete. So, you're looking at an initial phase, 1 month would be the initial site visit and review of concept plan by full design team, conduct a preliminary design review meeting, PDRM, and with DPI. So have DPI come out and take a look at the site. Design phase 2 would take about 2 months. Develop design documents, submit for client review, and address client comments. Phase number 3 would be your permitting phase, which would take about 4 months, which would be obtaining building permits, approval. Contractor would pull the permit, includes 2 peer review cycles, develop the bid package for solicitation. Phase number 4 would be bid phase, which was 2 months, which includes bid solicitation period of 4 weeks, bid evaluation by town and CPJ, which would be about 1 week, and a formal contract award, which would take about 2 weeks. And then construction, which would last about 6 to 8 months. Duration, consider time needed for county and state inspections and final use and occupancy UNO permit issuance. So they're saying that looking at the project, you're looking at 15 to 17 months to get that from them. The other option that is on the table tonight that I bring before you is an RFP has been assembled that is included in the packet tonight. And so this is going out to find bids for new architects to work on this project. If the commission decides to go with the RFP that you see tonight that was in the packet, you're looking at, we would of course put the bid out. You guys would vote on it on the 11th of March. We would post it right away. And of course, bids would be due no later than Friday, April 10th. So you're talking about a 30-day period to get the RFPs back. And then, of course, we would be starting over with the new architect and hopefully getting them on board and going forward with that. So these are the three ideas or ways that we can get our project back on track. And I leave it open for your discussion.
Thank
Hopefully that
you.
explained it well.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Solsick, any discussion?
Not at the moment. I yield.
Okay, Commissioner Henderson? Any discussion?
Not at this time. I need to a little more look into a little more information on this situation. I yield back.
Okay. So, just so I'm clear, the three options are we can stick with Mr. Green, who's ready to get started now. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Or we can go with CPJ, who is saying it's going to take 15 to 17 months.
Yeah, that's what they're saying, but I think that's long. To me, that's too extended. I think they could do it a lot faster. I don't think it's going to take 6 to 8 months to build in that location. It's a very small space, and I don't think it's going to require them to take 6 to 8 months for construction. So I think this timeline just needs to be amended. If we decide to go with CPJ, I think we just need to set our expectation as to when we would want it done, and then we build our timeline based on that. But of course, we do need to get our building permits. We were unfortunate. Mr. Green did not provide us with full plans. I think what we got from Mr. Green's office was more or less a concept drawing. We really don't have a full set of plans to do the construction with. And that's where we're sort of at a loss with this, is because it's just a concept drawing. Looking at the patio area, there's speaking to CPJ today, there's concerns about, the topography that's over there with that hill. How are they going to, the patio is going to go in there? It really is, it's going to be very hard to put a patio in there with that hill there. It's going to take a lot of grading, but the thing is, you've got that high elevation of the top area of 38th Avenue, and then it comes down. So there's a lot of things that need to be looked at with that. And so I just don't know if Mr. Green really took a lot of that stuff into account. I think he gave us a great concept drawing, but I really don't think we have. Once we get into it, I think we just need to get someone that really knows that what they're doing.
Okay, so if I'm remembering correctly, and if someone remembers different, please correct me. There was two phases to this project. The first one was the concept, and the second, or the design, and the second part of the project was the actual construction.
Mhm.
So you're right. He gave us the first phase. We never made it to the second phase.
Right.
And then the third option was to put an RFP out
Right. To
and
find a
basically
new
start
architect.
all over again.
That's correct. And I've written you a RFP that has been vetted by the town attorney, and it's solid, and it has the sources of funding in it. It lists everything that's needed to put out. If you decide you want to go that route, this has already been ready to go.
Okay, you answered my question. Thank you. Commissioner Givens, any discussion?
Yeah. So I would say a couple of more so comments and things that need to be followed up. I would say because Mr. Green has done all of this work and his paperwork wasn't right and now it's right. Before I would totally consider, because I would definitely want to still consider him, and then I'll tell you why. I would want to see the projects that he had collaborated with others in the past and got actually accomplished, right? And I'd actually want you to go out and do a site visit and so on to those projects that he provided information for. Secondary, the reason why I say I liked his what's it? He already understood. He knows the project. He knows what we're trying to do. He's worked with these people, so he understands all in which you discuss, even the hill, because we talked about the hill. Because I had a concern about the hill. I was like, well, how are you going to do that? Because that's quite an embankment that you have to kind of consider. That's quite a bit of concrete that you'd have to, not concrete, but you'd have to either put it on stilts and backfill it or whatever. So we had those kind of discussions. So he already understood all of that. So I do like that. And his price was within our wheelhouse. I can tell you, you can go CPJ, you can put it back out for bid, but whatever. I can't remember. I think he was at 1.2 million. I can't remember exactly, and someone can correct me, but it's going to be considerably higher. I mean, even with him, you're going to have more cost because, since then, things have changed. Because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he had, and I could be wrong, Wanda, you could probably correct me if I'm this, he had put it out, they had got an RFP for contractors, to actually
We were already there.
bid the workout. And I could be wrong. I'm not sure, but because I remember something in the numbers coming in at like 1.2 or something to that effect. But nevertheless, just know that whatever would be considered outside of Mr. Green, and not to say that Mr. Green price won't increase, because it's likely going to increase because everything has gone up since then, but it's going to be considerably more now, to get someone to start all the process all over again and coming in from scratch. I do remember just the building, that the Public Works building that you see right there, that's erected, that we had erected. We got 3 bids. One guy came in at 174. I think the highest person was like 480 something, maybe 485. And we got a phenomenal building for 174. And so, you know, and I just want to, put that out there. And ultimately, if you guys want to start all over, it is what it is. So, but that's just something to consider. I yield back.
Thanks. I believe you're correct. It was the number he gave us was 1.2 million, and we had actually managed to collect that much. We got the bond bill, we got a couple of other grants, and so we were able to get to that number. So yeah, it was 1.2. Commissioner Brooks, anything else? Any discussion?
Yeah, I really like Dale Green, but this was some stuff that we went through, and I just really don't feel like we should have, and I lost. I just don't trust that process. I would support CPJ, but John, I would like you to talk to him a little bit more about that timeline, and 15 to 17 months is quite a bit. Thank you.
Got it.
All right. Um, let's see. What's next? Where's the agenda?
I think it's lawn maintenance next. Yep.
Okay, the lawn maintenance contract.
Yes. So we have 2 contractors that would like to get the lawn maintenance contracts. One would like to get it renewed, and the other one, of course, was our previous provider of the lawn maintenance. That was the American Landscaping Incorporated. Of course, American Landscaping does also do our snow removal in the winter. And so tonight they have provided you both of their proposals. Shamrock has come in at the rates. You're looking at $10,000 per year, 12 payments of $833.33. And American Landscaping, of course, has come in at $13,288. And so these are the proposals that we bring before you tonight. Of course, we're not voting on this tonight, but these are for you to take a look at. And if you'd like us to go find additional, we're happy to do so.
Mr. Holton, you mentioned that Shamrock is 10,000 a year at
Yes.
$833 a month.
Yes,
What
that's
is
correct.
American Landscaping with the 13,000? What is their monthly fee? I know it's going to be more.
Oh, yeah. Let me get that. Hold 1 second.
But while you're looking at that, Commissioner Salsick, do you have any discussion or questions?
We currently use American Landscaping. Is that correct? Or we
No,
just use them for the snow and we
we
use
yeah, we use American Landscaping for the snow. We use Shamrock for our lawn maintenance currently.
okay.
That's 1,107.33 a month.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay, Commissioner Henderson, any discussion?
Yes, I thought we were still using American Landscaping for the grass or something like that. But the one thing about American Landscaping that I noticed, they explain exactly what everything they were going to do. But Shamrock doesn't. Let's see, where is it? Shamrock doesn't specifically, cover as what they're gonna do, in their proposal, like American Landscaping does, the areas and the town maintenance property, how they're gonna keep it up. Um, Even though their price is a little lower and cheaper. So if they could say more or less what I mean, approximately what areas of the town that they're going to be maintenance a little better than what's being explained. How you bet?
Okay. So, I think the last time you guys voted on this, I recused myself because Hamlet Park already has a business relationship with Shamrock. So I probably won't vote on this one, but I will comment on it. I think it would, from what I've seen, and Mr. Holson, you could probably answer this question. Have Shamrock been doing a good job with the landscaping in the town, or do you have any complaints?
I don't have any complaints with them. They do an okay job. American Landscaping, I have to say, always went above and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
So American Landscaping, you can tell the quality in their work, especially, with them handling the snow removal. I think they did an exceptional job, in the winter. They've always done a really good job when it comes to, as you know, they also help us with our trees. Brian's is an expert with the trees and does a great job with that.
Yeah, but we're talking about landscaping.
I
We're not
mean, I
talking.
think both companies are good.
Mm-hmm.
You get more frills with American Landscaping. You get a little more with American Landscaping. I mean, Shamrock is just your basic.
So I think what's going on is American Landscaping is a much larger company, whereas Shamrock is probably just a local businessman. He
That's
has a
correct.
small team, a small crew, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, all right. I don't have any other comments. Commissioner Givens.
Yeah, I've seen both cut the grass. And I don't have a problem with Shamrock. I think they do a good job. Matter of fact, they have more people when they cut the grass than American Landscaping. I've literally seen them because I know because they drive down the street past my house on the what's name. They have two people and they do a good job. But we're talking about cutting the grass and weed and feeding it, and you know, and you know, and blowing it. So I don't see any anything much difference as into the quality of work per se. And I think they do a fine job. And so I'd like to stick with I'd advocate to stick with Shamrock. The reason why we switched is because every year this thing would go up with American Landscaping, and every once in a while, every 3 years or so, it's always prudent to test those services with other bidders. So again, if they were doing a poor job, I would say, then I would say, yeah, even though it's more money, let's switch. But I don't think they're doing a poor job. I think they're doing just fine. I yield back.
Okay. Commissioner Brooks, any discussion?
Sorry, something came up. Um, yeah, I think we just switched last year, and I haven't really seen any issues. I mean, John, if there's any major concerns with Shamrock, but if there's not a major concern, I'd recommend we keep them 2 to 3 years. And like Commissioner Gibbons said, you always want to put out RFPs and, every couple of years because costs are going to keep going up and have people competitively bid on processes. So I don't know. That's where I would stand. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is American in Bloom renewal. I believe this is a contract renewal.
American Bloom. All right, so American and Bloom, we participated in American Bloom, as you know, last year. It was our first year. We got a lot of recommendations from them. And we have been asked again to participate in American and Bloom. And the reason why we're doing it this year, with your approval, is, of course, the Winter Symposium or the Symposium for American and Bloom is coming to Alexandria, in September. And the plan is going to be that the port towns are going to be hosting and doing a celebration for the symposium. They're actually going to be coming out here to the various towns, and there's going to be fireworks at the end of the day over in Bladensburg in honor of the symposium. And so we are trying to see if you all are wanting to go and sign on board again for the American and Bloom. Of course, we'll get another visit like we did this past summer. As you know, we had the two site visitors come and visit us, and they did provide us with the report and made recommendations. And that same thing would apply with if we decide to renew again for this year for American and Bloom. So I yield back.
Thank
The
you.
cost, just to make you aware, I looked it up. It's $1,700 to sign on this year, and it goes by the population size.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Solsick, any discussion?
No discussion. I'm in support of us continuing this.
Okay, Commissioner Henderson?
Yes, I'm in support of it. But John, how much did it cost last year?
It was
it any?
$1,026 last time.
Oh,
And based on what the population, and it may actually be a little cheaper. I know this is just, I think, a standard price, but I think we got a discount if I'm not mistaken. But last year it was 1,026. This year, looking at the website, it says 1,700. But I will check with them, and I'll have when I talk to Rod over in Edmonston, I'll get you the definitive number.
okay. I mean, it's a wonderful program, and I like it. I was just wondering how much the increase was. I yield back.
Okay, for me, I think we should continue participating in the program. I do know that it helps our community. It also helps with our renewal for our sustainability with Maryland sustainability, our recertification. So I think we should continue this program. And you support continuing it, Mr. Holtzen?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I support it. Commissioner Givens, any discussion?
No, I support it.
Okay. Commissioner Brooks, any discussion?
No discussion. I support it.
All right. So we'll move on to our next item, which is a letter of support. Drone flight over 3342 Bladensburg Road.
Yes, there is a new business opening up over in our industrial area, and I'm trying to get the name of it. Hang on. It is the Wear Space, and it is just opening over there. It's at 3342 Bladensburg Road. And so we've been contacted by this company and Drone Drafting, and they've asked to us to approve a letter of support allowing them to fly a drone to what they're trying to do is they are trying to map the rooftop of their building for the design and installation of a solar array. And so the project justification in the memo that we presented to you tonight is green energy support. The mission directly aids the construction of rooftop solar systems within Cottage City. Technical needs, standard satellite imagery, and manned aircraft photography do not provide the granular detail necessary for accurate engineering and design. This is a strictly commercial professional operation that cannot be performed by conventional manned aircraft. And so the recommendation is to advance the applicant must provide the town with the specific flight date once the federal waiver is granted. There's limited duration. The authorization is valid for a single day within a 6-month window, and local content. The draft letter must be finalized with the correct local government signatory information. And of course, we would make sure we provide this to them with your approval. And I plan to go visit this business, I think sometime tomorrow. I heard that they are just opening or whatever, and I'm going to plan to go down there and introduce myself to them and to find out what's going on.
Okay, thank you. Ward 1, any discussion?
So to be clear, this would be for them to do a one-time flight to be able to map, and it would just be over their building.
Yeah, it's to map their rooftop before it looks like. I think they're trying to get solar on their roof, and I think that they just want to have a way to do it. And I think that's what they're using the drone flight for.
Okay. Yeah, I would just want to make sure that it was only like that. It's not that they're flying the drone around the town, but just over their building. But I would be okay with it.
Right, got it.
That's it?
Yes, that's it for me.
Okay. Commissioner Henderson.
Yes,
Ward 2.
John, you said you're going to look up the name of the company, or you know the name of the
No,
company?
they're just opening down in our industrial area, and I plan to go down there and visit with them. Denise Hamler and I met yesterday, and
Right.
she was talking to me a little bit about it. And she talked to me that they were just opening, and so I plan to go down there and introduce myself and to find out what exactly they do down there. And I will also, make an inquiry as to, what they're trying to do. So I will have more information. It's just we've had a lot going on the last few days and trying to get ready for this meeting, and I just want to make sure I had everything ready. But this is the memo that we prepared ahead of it for you tonight, so you have an understanding of what's going to be coming for the town meeting.
Okay,
Point of order.
so you're going to get back with us about the name of the company?
Point of order. Point of order.
Yes.
Yeah, let me help you with that. The name of the company is called Wearspace. And what
Okay,
it is,
that's
what they do, what they do is they'll take a companies that have smaller businesses that are in need of you know how like they rent office space?
Yeah.
Companies that do office spaces in buildings, well, they do it for companies that need warehouse space and office space and combined. And so what they do is they have areas that it's been segmented throughout the building. And so what they're trying to do is just for, I guess, for their overall cost to keep their electricity costs down, and having the ability to go solar to provide their solar costs, because that's included their electricity. Those individual places that do business in there, their electricity is included in their monthly rents. So it's called
Okay.
Wearspace, WARE, Wearspace, SPACE. and they have them in Virginia and Baltimore. They're kind of spreading all over the country right now. I yield back.
Okay. And one more question. Um, don't you think we should maybe get a copy of the FAA and TSA waiver for our files?
I can ask if need be. I can do that.
Okay, I yield back. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you said this is a one-time drone flight. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what it is. It's a one-time flight that they're looking to do.
And
It's
it's
for
just
a single day within a
uh
6-month window.
a single day within a 6-month window.
So they picked one day within 6 months to have this drone flight done.
And are they going to notify us what day they're
Yes,
going to pick?
they need to notify the town of the date once the federal waiver is granted.
Okay. And if it's not granted, then what happens?
Then they won't be able to do this.
So it this depends on whether or not they get the waiver.
That's correct. They have to have something from the town.
The waiver isn't from the town, is it? Or is the waiver from FAA? I'm trying to figure that out. Who's the waiver from?
We're granting them permission to be able to do this for their company.
For one day.
That's correct.
Okay. Commissioner Givens, any discussion?
Yeah, the waiver is from FAA. You can't fly a drone within our area right now because you're within the radius within the airport. So the only way you can do that, even under commercial, was saying you have to get you have to fill out an application and get permission. Once they get permission, then they would, of course, like they've already said, that they have to get permission. And then, of course, like you said, if that's a requirement, then you can ask from our town, then you can ask them to provide that along with the date, and so that we would have it for our records and to make sure that they're in compliance with the federal regulations. I yield back.
Thank you, Commissioner Givens. That was my question. Who was the waiver from? Was it from FAA or was it from us, Cottage City? So you answered my question. Thank you. Commissioner Brooks, any discussion?
No comments. Thank you.
All right. So next up is the MOU, Mr. Holton, number 12.
Okay, so the PGDDA, which is the Prince George's County Gateway Development Authority, has presented us with the following memorandum of understanding for our old firehouse project. And speaking to Mr. Hopkins this evening, they are willing to provide, originally it was 70,000, but it looks like we're going to get up to 100,000. But what we need to do is we need to put this memorandum of understanding in front of you so that we can go ahead and get this approved from you, and then we can provide it to them, and we can start drawing down the 100,000 for the firehouse, which means we need to start looking at the fixtures, things that we can do now on this side to get our firehouse project moving. We can start drawing down this money, that's $100,000. And so the plan would be is I will go ahead, write this up, and then we will get you all to approve it on the 11th of March. We will then, in essence, turn this into the PGDDA, and then we can hopefully, once approved, we will then start drawing down that $100,000 is the plan. So this is what I have up on the screen tonight is the memorandum of understanding template. And next week I will present to you the final version with the firehouse project completed and filled in. Is that correct, Commissioner Chair Wheatley?
That's part of it. You left out the part where when these types of grants come up, um, giving me or the chair, whoever's the chair, the authority to sign off on these grant documents so we don't have to keep coming back and holding special meetings or waiting till the following month. Because sometimes these grant opportunities come up and they need a signature from the town representative, rather quickly. And you know how our meetings are. We only meet twice a month. we would have to either call a special meeting or wait till the following month to take the vote. So I think in addition to signing this MOU, I think it would be helpful if the commission would give the chair, whoever that is, the authority to sign off on grants when grant opportunities come up so the projects won't get delayed. That's the other part of this. So is there any discussion? We'll start with Ward 1, Commissioner Solsick.
No discussion from me. Um, I'm okay with what you were saying, Commissioner Wheatley, about being able to sign off. I think I agree that that's probably important.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Henderson, Ward 2.
No question.
Okay. I don't have any discussion. I think it's great that we can get these grant funds to help out our community. Commissioner Givens, Ward 4, any discussion?
Yeah, I agree, and thank you. I and I agree with you, Wanda, and I appreciate the fact that we're getting an increase in the grant funding. I would just say, while that's for this particular one, I would say the commission probably needs to revisit at some juncture an authorized list for documentation of the authorities that are granted from the commission to the chair so that we don't have to have, like you said, an official uh, list of responsibilities that have been laid upon the chair for that the commission doesn't have to necessarily go back and meet each time for. Uh, but to consider whatever other things that may go along with that, other than closing the town hall, which of course is given permission. So I yield back.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Brooks at large, any discussion?
Yeah, I didn't see this one in the packet, John. Was it an updated packet that I'm missing?
No, this is what I mean. This came up like literally a couple of days ago
Oh,
where
okay, okay.
yeah,
That's fine.
our consultant was like, I need you guys to sign this because he doesn't want to lose the money and you know how grants are. They have
Yeah.
deadlines and stuff. So
So
we're
I
trying to
understand
get it
having the
done.
chair sign off due to expediency, but is that saying the commission wouldn't still have to approve because we'd still have to have a meeting as a body to approve? It was my understanding the commission as a body always had to approve grants. Is that correct?
I would say probably yes, but for this particular grant, it's under the PGGDA. So those grants are going to be shared by the 6 municipalities. It's not just Cottage City. So
Right.
whenever grant opportunities come up, we typically have meetings um, usually once a month. We also have a representative from at least one of the municipalities. We don't have a resident from our municipality, but we'll get one later on down the line. But yeah, we'll probably end up bringing the grants back to the town to say, hey, this grant opportunity is coming up. This is what we're gonna do with the money, or this is what we're hoping to do with the money. So you'll be in the loop on it. It's just that when things come up and it's kind of last minute and we just don't have time to meet on it.
So what's the
That's all.
deadline on this one?
This one, and I asked Mr. Hopkins that tonight when we talked to him. John, do you remember what he said? I know he said that we can give it to him next week.
So I do think it's best. I mean, it
Oh, I
is
know
all of
what it
our
is.
responsibility.
So
Well,
there's
one second,
there's
one second. I do think it's best that we as a body approve these things, even if it's just a quorum, and
mhm.
then, get the majority consent that, it's okay to move forward with one. But I mean, I could be in the minority. I just think it's all of our responsibility to kind of take a look at these fundings coming in. I understand the time constraints, especially with these ones, and I think it's best just to get a feeler of what how everyone's feeling about it and then move forward if it's this urgent. But if we can get a meeting quickly and try to at least get a quorum, whoever can make it. I think that's best. But yeah, other than that, I support the memorandum of understanding.
So the first phase of the funds was from 2024. So that money is getting ready to get snatched back. There's two phases right now. There's 24 and 25. He wants us to at least draw down the money from 2024 before this current administration decides to pull those funds back. So that's that the 2024 funds, the deadline is now. We need to go ahead and figure out, like John was saying, we need to figure out how we can spend this money before they snatch it back. So to answer your question, the deadline for the first phase of money is right now. We need to
So
hurry up
why
and
wouldn't we
figure it
just do a
out.
special suspend the rules to vote since it's in front of us now?
We can do that, or we could wait till next
I
week.
mean,
It's
it's
your
up to
choice.
everybody else. I
Yeah,
was
it's
just
your
thinking
choice.
it's in front of us.
How do individuals feel? Do they want to suspend the rules tonight so we can go ahead and vote on it and get this moving, or do we want to wait till next week, next Wednesday?
I don't think we should break protocol if it, other than exigent circumstances are the times in which we want to suspend the rules. That was the whole purpose of creating the what's the name. I could see if it were next week was too late, but the guy says, "Hey, you can do it, sign it next week," which I think is fine.
Yeah, we just got to hurry up and figure out what we want to spend the money on.
But we can do that in the interim while we're waiting to vote on it.
Okay, I think Mr. Holton, you had mentioned, or Mr. Hopkins had mentioned furniture,
Yep,
flooring,
all those
and
things. The
yeah, those
fixtures, all the stuff inside of the
fixtures, that's
place. Right,
right.
right,
Fixtures,
right.
probably lighting, stuff like that. So, right now, I think the number he gave us was $70,000.
Right, but he said up to 100,000.
Yeah, but he also said that's not guaranteed,
That's not
but
guaranteed, right?
that's not guaranteed, but at least 70 for sure. So, we can decide that tonight if you guys want to do that, or we can wait. If you want to think about it some more, we can wait until next week.
If you
It's your
can wait, I
choice.
can formalize the document and I can come back with it filled out as well as have an idea as to what we can spend the money on.
Well, I think one thing, if we're gonna try to start spending this money now, we need to figure out which design we're gonna go with. We're gonna go with Mr. Green's design, or if we're gonna try to put out something different and get an RFP, or if we're gonna see what CPJ can come up with. Because I don't want to just be picking stuff and then it doesn't fit in with the design. You know what I mean? So maybe next week we can have a better idea of what we want to do.
I say
I
bring
know.
ideas next week and then we just go with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because I know I think in Mr. Green's design, he was gonna keep the original wood floor. Is that correct, Mr. Holton?
That is correct.
So we could definitely go with replacing the wood floor, but that's not gonna cost us $70,000. So I guess we could just think about it some more. All right, next is number 13, grant announcement, Mr. Holton.
Yes, I have Mr. O'Connor on the line that's going to, as you know, but I'll let him make the big announcement. John O'Connor?
Oh, sure, thank you. I very happy. We put in recently for a Chesapeake Bay Trust Award for community resilience. And what this grant does, it was request was $45,000. There was $217,000 available and $281,000 of requests that came in. So we were among the few that were selected for this particular grant. It was very high. It was highly competitive, and what this grant does is it is for the town of Cottage City to enhance the existing community garden near Cottage Terrace to develop a fully functional community resilience hub. And it integrates food access, green infrastructure, and community engagement. It'll be used to expand raised garden beds, install rainwater harvesting and solar lighting, shade trees, seeding, multilingual workshops on gardening, composting, and emergency preparedness as well. So it'll allow the site to serve as a year-round educational and gathering place, and not just a community garden, but and a cooling resource during the heat because of the shade, and power emergencies because it will have solar and the backup energy that's there as well. So it'll strengthen the neighborhood resilience, the environmental sustainability, and the community connectivity. And it also aligns with the Prince George's County Climate Action Plan, the CAISP priorities. So, like I said, it was a very highly competitive grant. I'm very excited for the town to have this and put it into action and see what it brings and the final end result.
Okay, great. Thank you for the information and for the grant. That's great news. Commissioner Salsik, any comments?
No real comments. I just want to thank you, Mr. O'Connor, for the work that you're putting in. This sounds like a great grant for us to be awarded.
Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson?
No comment, but I also like to give a thanks to O'Connor for getting this wonderful grant. I yield back.
Okay, and as I said before, thank you so much for getting this grant for our town. I think it's going to be a great thing for us. Commissioner Givens, any comments?
How much was the grant for again?
$40,000.
Okay, great. Um, so you mentioned a couple of things that they already have. So they already have a rain catchment system. They have two of them. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention in case you didn't know. And also, has this been discussed with the garden itself? Because they could provide information as to what it is that the needs that they have of the community garden that would align with the funding that's available.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd go to Mr. Hodson for that one, but I believe they were involved, or at least there was a portion of it.
We discussed areas that they're going to do improvements on. So we're going to make some improvements down there. We're also going to do several things. The money can also be used for the bees. As you know, we have the bees down there as because it does provide for food. And so that's an area we're going to look at also is the bees. So we can acquire more. There's other areas that we're going to look at. Ms. Hamler and I talked yesterday about it. And there are ways that we'll utilize this money.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure they were involved. That's all. Thank you.
Is that it, Commissioner Given?
Yeah, that was all. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Brooks, any comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like everybody else, thank you. CB Trust isn't easy to get a lot of grant funds from. It's very competitive. So I appreciate it, but I also really appreciate just starting to see grants come into our town. We deserve to get some of those funds as well. And so a big thank you to you and John Holtz and everybody else. Thank you.
Okay. So the last item on our agenda tonight was a ballot question, number 14. Commissioner Givens, you want to take that one?
Yeah, in light of the whole conversation in regards to the additional person for public works as to whether we're going to have them permanent, part-time, temporary, or whatever. I like for to have this placed out on the ballot for the residents to make the decision in regards to give their input and make a decision in regards to how they feel about funding two full-time people for Public Works Department. There are a number of things that, well, I think that the American Landscaping did a good job in this recent snowstorm. I don't want I mean, people weren't here. John, you didn't live here. Julia, you didn't live here. With when we had some major snowstorms, in which I can tell you that the two people that we did have at the time, um, and regardless of their past performance or they were able to get the town clean and did a good job at it, where the other towns were not passable and so on and so forth. And I think you can still accomplish that with Jorge, with an additional full-time person. And like I said, there's a number of other things that I provided you guys with in the past, and I'm happy to re-provide you all with that, as well as the uh, the uh, the residents, and then those who disagree, they can put something out to advocate for the continuance of everything being uh, contracted out. I ran the numbers, and based on the numbers, with all of the work that needs to be done within the town, the numbers don't add up. I mean, in regards to the cost, the cost consideration. So I think we definitely could get this thing done, and I'd like to have that placed on the ballot. And like I said, and just make it apples to apples. If and I'll like I said, I'll put together a string of list of things that need to be done throughout the town, the trip hazards, and amongst other things, there's as far as painting the curbs and the stop sign markers and everything, and as well as a number of other things. And people can go out and they can get the contracted cost associated with that, as opposed to us just believing or thinking what we know. Because it's important that when we do budgets, we base it on the needs of the town. Ultimately, these are services that we provide for the community, and they should have a say as to the type of services and expectations as to what they what they deserve. I would say that one of the things that I'm an advocate for, and as a system to be put in place, is uh, and this is what previous, when Greg and Anthony were both working together efficiently at the time, um, they would do all the streets. Once the snow stopped, the following day they would start clearing parking spaces. And people appreciate the parking spaces, and that's without having, at the time they didn't have a Bobcat. Of course, when we were able to get the Bobcat, the previous chief, he jumped in there, and he was even more efficient with clearing up the parking spaces. And so that's greatly appreciated throughout the community. And I'm not saying American Landscaping couldn't do that, but all of that comes at a cost, and the cost absorbently add up over a period of time with just the snow. I'm not even talking about the other services that are needed throughout the town. So again, I just want to kind of revert back to having it placed on the ballot, and then ultimately so that we can stop and so that we can look at it from a cost analysis in regards to the needs and the services of the community. I yield back.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Salsick, any discussion?
I mean, I'm open to hearing what I know that this conversation has been going on for a while within the commission, and I am open to hearing the opinions of um, people in the town.
Okay, so that sounds like you're for it going on the ballot. Commissioner Henderson, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes. I thought John was going to post the position for Public Works, full-time person, and it hasn't been done yet. So I'm trying to figure out what's the stall on that. I mean, then you would have a person anyway. So I don't understand the problem. I yield back.
The position is posted.
Well, let me explain the problem. The problem is that the commission never really set as to the definitive answer as to how they were going to move forward with the position, whether it was going to be, because there was kind of discussion as to a temporary position for a number of months. Then there was a discussion as to a part-time person, you know, and I'm not sure if that was for a number of months or whether that was permanent part-time. But my advocation to the community is with two full-time people, we can accomplish the work that needs to be done. And if people are not doing their job, the commission needs to take some responsibility and deal with those administrative issues in regards to that, as opposed to um, faltering on the services that are needed by the community. Because there's a lot of things that many of you are not aware of, or don't know the cost, or what needs to be done. If there's any question as to the work that's being done or needs to be that's being done on a daily basis, that stuff I set it up, and I surmise that it's still being done. But on a daily basis, that information has been given to from Public Works to the town manager on a daily basis, and that's kind of how I left it, you know. And I assume that that's still being done. And I think if you have that kind of if you kind of have that track record, that information will continue to be getting done, so that people can see the actual work that's being done, as opposed to you think that they're not doing anything, or you think that things have not been accomplished. Now you have a track, an individual record that said those things have been done. So again, back to your thing, Mr. Henderson, that was never really established as to how we were going to do it by the majority of the commission. It was kind of like up in the air. Everyone had kind of like a different opinion, and it was
That's
never
not
kind of
true.
solidified.
That's not
Okay, well,
true.
Can we
what
get
was
back to the point of order of the question whether this should be on the ballot,
okay? Well, I
just
yield
so we
back.
can all.
I yield back. Then I'm done.
Mr. Henderson, your
Okay, if you want it on the ballot, it can be. But all I'm saying is the job was posted and should have been full time out there. And I haven't heard any more. Was it any applicants or what? It just stalled. And it doesn't make sense why something's supposed to have been done and then it stalls and you don't hear any more about it. I yield back.
Okay, let me clarify. The job is posted. The last time we had spoken, you all approved part-time. That is what we had approved. We said we would visit again during the budget season of full-time, but that was not guaranteed. So let's get it clear. Right now, the position's posted as part-time. It is out on Indeed. It is out on all the job sites. It needs to be up for 30 days. We're waiting for it to go through the cycle. Once it does, we'll come back. We're going through the process. I will pull the
Mr.
minutes tomorrow and I will send it to all of you.
Mr. Holson, you already sent those minutes. You sent it last week, I believe, when this came up before. Mr. Henderson, did you have any other comments or discussion?
No, I have none.
Okay.
I yield back.
Okay. So, Mr. Holson is correct. The last time we discussed it, and you can go back and listen to I believe it was the January recording or minutes. I believe it was no, it must have been December. No, it had to be January because I didn't go to the December meeting.
January.
It was the January minutes. If you go back, he already sent us the recording. And I believe it was at 1 hour and I want to say like 23 minutes or something like that. Because I found it in the recording where we actually had the whole discussion. And if you want to go back and listen to the discussion, you can hear where we're going back and forth about whether it should be part-time, full-time. And Mr. Holson is correct. At the end of the day, we decided to do part-time for now. And we would revisit the full-time position during the budget discussion or budget cycle. But to answer Commissioner Gibbons' question about whether or not we put it on the ballot, I have no objections to putting it on the ballot. Commissioner Givens, did you want to say something else, or would you yield to Commissioner Brooks?
At this time, I'll yield, but I would like to add one last thing at the end, not necessarily to that particular point, though, but
Mm-hmm.
in relation. But I'll listen, Brooks. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, I fully support it. I think as a commission, we've been at odds over this one. We agreed to the contractual services, but since then it's been nonstop changes and a lot of changes since October, November. I support it. Bring it, let residents have it in front of them, but let them have it in front of them. You know, do you want two full-time? Do you want one full-time with contracted services? I think that's fair to kind of give, there's two options. I don't know if that's possible. To be honest, I don't remember having options on the ballot, but they should have options to say, hey, these are the two options the town's looking at. Which one would you prefer? But yeah, I support it. I think it's good to get residents. As a commission, we're at odds on this thing, and I think it's time to just get residents to chime in and say how they feel about it. So I support it. Thank you.
I think there should be three options. I think it should be the full-time with contract services, full-time or two full-times, and then are we going to include contract services with the two full-time, or a full-time and a part-time with contract services? I think it should be three options on the ballot versus the two you just mentioned. Because
So,
it's like,
yeah, I hear
huh?
you. I think that you should probably put something in writing so that, and then send it out to everyone so that we
Mhm.
can next week make a decision as to what will go on the ballot. But also,
Mhm.
those contracted services need to be understood as to what, because when you say contracted services, like I'm not advocating for the public works to cut the grass because I don't think that they're efficient. They would be efficient at doing that because there's a number of other services. But I am an advocate for um, if we're going to hire two full-time people, well, why are we paying a contracted service to do the snow when we could do the snow? I mean, Wanda, you are here. You know for a fact that Greg, I mean, granted, I know we had some other issues, but Greg was here until all that snow was wide open. And and we have that type of work ethic out of the current personnel, and whoever we hire, we should have that same expectation. And if that expectation falters, then we should deal with those things from a personnel perspective and not just lax. Now, I would say even during Snowmageddon, it wasn't until it wasn't until the following, after we cleared up the open spaces, that we went into having them come in with the big tractor trailer, the big bulldozer front loaders, and remove all the snow because it was 3.5 feet high, you know. And that was just, we couldn't do that. We didn't have a Bobcat at the time, so we couldn't really facilitate that. And so I think that if we have someone having both of them trained on these things, we could achieve that. But again, we should come up with the language and then agree as to what will be on the ballot so that it'll be a fair apples to apples. Because again, there's certain things I'm not advocating for, but I think that we can do a fine job and with the appropriate personnel. I wanted to say this. One of the things that was being advocated in regards to the, I guess it was tied into that whole personnel manual thing, not personnel manual, but the pay scale thing, was the hiring. I mean, what I saw in there, what I read in there, it's removing the commission as a body from the hiring process and just using the town manager and one commissioner. Now, I think the commission needs to make a decision as to if that's something they want to proceed uh, or do. Because I think it's appropriate. Personally, I still think it's appropriate for the town manager to go through, and it could be with another commissioner to select, a board of three individuals, and ultimately, the commission makes that decision. Because if it's just the town manager and one commissioner, then the other commissioners feel slighted. As well as they don't necessarily have the ability to meet those people. We have such a small town and a small small number of people, that we want to make sure that we all have an opportunity to weigh in on this individual to ensure that we get the appropriate personnel possible. Now, I could be wrong as to how I read that, but that's kind of how I read it. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just kind of putting that out there, that what my continued opinion is in regards to it. And I wouldn't necessarily like to see that process change. Ultimately, the commission having the ability to actually do the final hire. I yield back.
Thank you, Commissioner Givens. Mr. Holtzen, can you answer his question? Because I'm not sure which position would the commission be removed from hiring? Did it say? Because I don't know which position you're talking about. Or did he misinterpret that, Mr. Holtzen?
I don't know what he's referring to. What is he referring to?
Okay, we could talk about it later. I'll send it to everyone. I did read it, and
Was it in the ordinance? Are you talking
Yeah.
about the ordinance
Yeah,
that was
the
presented
ordinance.
tonight?
Yeah, but you didn't present it because it was you said you were gonna.
Because we haven't gone through it. That's why I said, and that's not even etched in stone. And that was actually put together by Town Attorney Kevin Best.
Well,
So
that's why I'm saying
yeah,
I don't know if
and
if
it
it's,
doesn't
it might be
match the
something that was taken
charter,
from
and
an.
we can't go against the charter, Commissioner Givens. So I understand completely. We're not
I'm
making
just
changes. That was obviously it was an oversight from the town
okay.
attorney.
No, listen. I apologize. I'm not here to offend you, John. Trust me when I tell you. And what probably happened, which is usually what the attorney does, is he takes a boilerplate from another town and he presents that as this is a good way to go about it. Ultimately, it's up to the commission to make that decision. I know we haven't discussed it, but I did want to point that out to the commission so that it's something that they can be mindful of when they do go through it, so they'll be prepared to have a discussion on it. It's not to slight you or anything like that. That's not where I'm coming from. Trust me when I tell you. But I do try to read this stuff as best I can, because ultimately, forget that I'm a commissioner. Forget that. I'm a resident. I've been a resident for 32 years, 33 years. And I I'm concerned about a lot of things, finances, how we do things, most efficient, because I know that we are on a limited financial situation. And I'm not blaming you, because I think it's good to have a framework that we work off of. And I was just kind of bringing it to their attention to be mindful of it. That's all. That's all. So if I offended you, I apologize. It's not like that. So, but yes, I appreciate that. If we can put that wording together for the ballot options, that would be great. And then we can kind of have a discussion. We could take a review of it, and people can chime in so that we can have a discussion next week for it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I yield back.
Thank you, Commissioner Givens, and thank you for pointing that out. Because I myself didn't catch that, so I appreciate you doing that. And if it was an oversight, then we can correct it. But thank you for pointing it out. So we are at the end of our agenda. Do we have anyone from the public who would like to speak before we adjourn? I don't see any hands raised. I don't see any questions in the chat. Mr. Holson, do you see any questions in the chat?
There's no questions in the chat.
Okay. So it is now 9:08. If there are no further discussions tonight, we can adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn our work session tonight at 9:08?
Brooks, I make the motion to adjourn at 9:08 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Second, is there a second? I'll second. This is Commissioner Wheatley. I second that we adjourn. Call for the vote. Those in favor, we'll start with Ward 1. Please say aye.
Aye.
Ward 2, Henderson, aye.
Ward 3, Wheatley, aye.
Ward 4, Gibbons, aye.
At large, Brooks, aye.
Thank you. No nays or abstentions. Motion passed. We are adjourned.
And
Thank you,
just for
everyone.
and
Have
just
a great
for
night.
just for a thought process, I agree with you, John. As far as Christmas Eve, we can talk about it next week, though. I yield back.
Okay. Okay. We'll talk about it
Appreciate it.
next week. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Have a
Have a good
great
night.
night.
Good night.